Do you try to copy someone to capture some of their success, but realize it doesn't work for you? Do you want to be more authentic and show the true you to the world? If you are an entrepreneur who wants to understand the concept of human design and how it affects you and how you work, tune in to today's episode to learn more on this topic.
Welcome to Biz Help for You with host Candy Messer. Entrepreneurs like to focus on the big picture, like profitability, success, and a smooth running organization. But there always seems to be those little things like taxes, employee compensation, laws, regulations, and more. Now you can get the answers you need in one place. Join us today as we break it all down for you. Now, here's your host, Candy Messer.
Hello and welcome to Biz Help for You with Candy Messer. Thank you for joining me today. If you missed my last episode and would like to listen to the show, links can be found on my social media pages as well as multiple favorite podcast platforms. And if you'd like to receive notifications on when my podcasts have been uploaded, please like and subscribe. This episode is a little different as I recorded multiple podcasts in one day at an event and didn't have bios to read at this time. It also covers a topic outside of my usual comfort zone, but I'm sure some of my listeners will be quite interested in what was shared in the 2 interviews I did. I was matched up with guests I'd never met before, so the topics were presented as we began to record. To get started, let me share a little bit about my first guest today. Patricia Diorio was raised on the East Coast, but caught up with her soul in California. She spent over 20 years in the world of nonprofit as executive director of 2 high-profile organizations. For the last 15 years, she has been in private practice in Santa Barbara as a spiritual counselor and professional intuitive. She calls her business Quantum Counseling because it is founded in science and spirituality. She is also the founder, producer, and the host of the Paradigm Shift television show. She's committed to being a catalyst for conscious media and has hosted more than 300 live shows on science and spirituality, interviewing many of today's brightest luminaries. Now to the interview with Patricia Diorio. So Patricia, welcome to my show today.
Thank you so much, Candy. I'm really delighted to be here.
And before I get into any of the discussion that we're going to have, I'd love for you just to tell our listeners just a little bit about you and how did you get involved with what you're doing?
Well, it's interesting. And probably those of you that are listening to this podcast are saying to themselves, what is Candy thinking having this woman, this guest on her show? Because this doesn't sound like anything Candy would be interested in having and presenting. Well, through, I would say, a wonderful series of events, we've had like a blind date on Potapalooza podcasting, Kimberly Crow's wonderful summit. And here I am, I'm paired up with a financial businesswoman that is about Excel and Excel sheets and numbers and all of that. I'm a spiritual mentor. Spirituality is my wheelhouse. My podcast is called Align with the Divine, and I interview people that are experts in their realm of spirituality. People that are scientists as well as spiritually conscious people. So my market are people who are spiritually awake, or, and this may appeal to some of you, people who are interested in spirituality. So what is all this about consciousness and awareness and the woke people? What is that? It's about knowing that you, all of us in this human experience, are immeasurably powerful in our ability to create our reality. We're doing it all the time. If you don't think you create your reality, or if you don't know you create your reality, too bad. You're doing it anyway. And then you're doing it by default. And then you're creating a reality, maybe that's not what you want. If you're a negative thinker, if you worry about stuff all the time, if you're stressed out about your money, if you're having difficulty in relationships, if you're struggling with your health, guess what? Those thoughts are projected into the field through energy, through the energy of your thinking. And you're actually creating that to happen. I'm going to give you a really quick metaphor here and symbol to work with in your mind's eye, or if you have a pencil and paper, you can draw it. Draw an equilateral cross, a plus sign, perfectly equal. That horizontal line is the material world. Put an M there. The vertical line is the spiritual world. Put an S there. Right at the very nexus of those two lines, I want you to put a dot. To the left, I want you to put a minus sign, and to the right of the horizontal line, I want you to put a plus sign. The left minus sign is the past. The plus positive sign is the future. The dot in the middle, guess what? Is the now moment, is the now moment. You know what? All we have is the now moment. We're not here. The past is not here. The only time the past is here is when we take that thought from the past and bring it into the now moment. If it's a negative thought, you're creating it for the future. If it's a positive thought, you're creating it for the future. So here's how we create. These are the components of manifestation. We begin with a thought. It's the electricity of our thought combined with the magnetism of our feelings that cause manifestation to happen, and then expedited by our words. In the beginning was the word. In the beginning was the word. We are creators of our reality through our thoughts, feelings, and words. Ergo, you have a positive thought, you have a happy feeling that moves that thought into the quantum field, and you speak it to be so. This meeting is going to be a fabulous, successful meeting, and I'm going to get this new client. That's a fabulous thought, and worth thinking. You're putting that into the field, and you're actually causing that to happen. One of my teachers, a fellow by the name of Joe Dispenza, fabulous guy, says there's causing effect and there's cause and effect. There's cause and effect that's going to happen. And there's causing effect, which puts you in the driver's seat for it to happen. So we are creators of our reality, and we're creating our reality all the time. My work is about helping people deepen their awareness of their power. And I'm going to say, this is what my work is based on. We're spiritual beings, energy beings. Having a human experience is who we think we are. I wear the Patricia Diorio mask. Candy wears the Candy Messer mask. You wear your mask. And we occupy this physical vehicle, this meat suit, if you will, to help us navigate the world. And we're here to have a human experience. But behind that human experience is the essence of who we are, your soul, your spirit, your connection to the divine. We are cells in the body of God. God is not separate from us. I don't mean to be jumping on a platitude here, but I want to point that out. You have the sun, God, and the sunbeams that come from the sun. We are the sunbeams. We're made of the same stuff. We cannot be separate from the sun. It's impossible to be separate. It's impossible for a cell to be separate from the body. It's impossible for a spark to be separate from a flame. It's impossible for a wave to be separate in the ocean.
So what I wanted to do in terms of, for the business person who's listening, and you were talking about, now, the now moment too, because we know, even though business and personal, a lot of times we try to keep it separate, we know that our personal life is going to affect what happens in business. So how does somebody then say, okay, I had this negative experience in my life, and I know it's probably holding me back in my business. And, maybe it was something around, money, growing up and they didn't have a lot of money, right? So now they want to make sure that they have enough and not have to feel like they're stressed out about it, or, whatever that situation is that's impacting them at this moment. Then what do you recommend for them to kind of break that cycle of having these negative thoughts that are driving them to do what they are in their business because they want to feel successful?
Okay, so the very first thing is become aware of your negative thought. Because most of the times people have a negative thought and they're not aware of it, and they go right down that rabbit hole of negativity, which is coming from fear, period. So the most important thing is to be aware, to be the observer, and to be the watcher watching, to be the silent witness looking at you in your human experience and looking at what you're thinking. So who is the one that's observing? That's the essence of who we are. That's the spiritual being having the human experience as whoever you are, whoever you came here to be in this lifetime. When we can become aware that we're having a negative thought, and that usually if it's a negative thought, it's repetitive, man, it's connected to a negative program in your subconscious that's sabotaging your success.
Mhm.
So first you need to become aware of that negative thought and then make another choice. If I continually think of failing in this project, then I just learned that I'm actually causing that failure to happen. Instead, I see the project successful. Our imagination is so important. Einstein said imagination is greater than knowledge. Listen to this. Imagination, this is true. Imagination allows us to be there before we get there because the brain cannot distinguish the thought of something and the experience of it. And I'm sure some of you are going, yeah, right, that's not true. Check it out. Psycho-cybernetics. The brain cannot distinguish a thought, the having the thought from the actual experience of it. So when you go in and take that negative thought of failure, of whatever it is you're worried about, and you turn it around, what would the opposite of that look like? It would look like having a successful meeting. It would look like making more money. It would look like getting a clean report from the doctor. It would look like having a great date with my wife. It would look like bringing in my life partner. It would look like feeling confident and happy in my life. Happiness is a choice. Everything is a choice. So observe your pattern, observe your negative pattern, make another choice, and put it out into the field. You may have to fake it till you make it in the beginning because we're so programmed by that negativity. You know, no one escapes domestication. This is a quote from Don Miguel Ruiz, who's a great spiritual teacher. He wrote the Four Agreements, if you've ever heard of them. And he says that nobody escapes being plugged into belief systems, imprints, and programs from our childhood, how we were raised. You know, one of my teachers that I've interviewed many times, I did a television show for many years in the studio, and now I'm moving my work online. And one of the people I interviewed was a fabulous scientist by the name of Dr. Bruce Lipton. And he wrote a book called The Biology of Belief. And what he proved, I'm saying proved by the scientific method, what he proved is that our cells are not informed by our genetics, our genes. Our cells are not informed by our genes. We are not victims of our genes. Now, our cells, I mean, we show up in the world based on the genetics we inherited, but our genes are informed by, you ready? By our environment, by our thoughts, by our thoughts. You get a fellow that gets a death sentence from the doctor telling that he's got 6 months to live, and he believes it. And his cells are informed that he has 6 months to live, he's going to die in 6 months. But if you have someone like my brother who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and was told that he had less than a year to live, he went, no way, not me. I'm living my life. And he did. And the doctors were blown away. So I have an experience in my own life. You can change your life by changing your thinking, because everything begins with a thought. You don't have to subscribe to this idea of being a divine being like I do necessarily. But science tells us we're energy beings. We're made of energy. This table I'm sitting in front of is as hard as a rock. But if you looked at it under the proper magnification, quantum physics tells us it's empty space. My body is less dense than this table. And if you look at my body, under the proper magnification, it's also empty space. And then our feelings and our thoughts and our beliefs, all of that, energy continually impacting the quantum field. We are amazingly powerful, innate, immeasurable power to create our reality. And no matter what your business is, you can improve it by changing your thinking. So if you're a glass half full kind of person, maybe you're that go-getter and your business is successful. But if you're the glass half empty kind of person, you're always having to struggle and worry about making ends meet or whatever that would happen to be in your particular realm of expertise, then you're going to keep creating it. So own your power to be the creator of your reality and create a great reality. Happiness is a choice.
Well, I was thinking while you're talking too, I mean, there are a lot of people who are, struggling in business. And I was talking to someone earlier today saying, like, we look at other people a lot of times and we judge our performance based on who we see. And sometimes that's not even reality, right? Someone is showing themselves as this great, successful, whatever, but they may not even be a profitable business, right? They're, struggling and they're trying to make it look like they're successful, but maybe they're not. So I think we need to not judge ourselves by what we see out there, but really just look at what is it that we want in terms of defining success for ourselves and not judge ourselves against someone else, right? So I think that comes back to where you're talking about negative thoughts, right? We're down on ourselves because we're not as good as, right? But let's just focus on our own, what do we want from our own business, and not put ourselves down because we aren't as good as someone else.
Oh, I think that's important. I think comparison and competition is really a moot point, because each of us has a unique gift to give to the world. You are a unique business person. You're an entrepreneur. You have a unique gift to give. What is your gift? What do you want? What is the impact you want to make? What is the difference you want to make in the business community? So comparing ourselves to others is a disaster. I mean, that is never going to move us in a direction where we're going to be happy. So choose what makes you happy. Is it the bottom line on a financial statement? Is it a family that just loves, that you have a wonderful time with your family? Is it a great sexual relationship with your partner? Is it losing weight? What is it? What do you want? That's how I ask my clients all the time. What do you want? What do you want? Well, you can have what you want, but you have to change your thinking, because if you think you're never going to lose the weight, or you're never going to meet the guy or the gal, or you're never going to have a profitable bottom line, then you're contributing to that happening through your thoughts, feelings, and words. And this has been proven by quantum physics. This is not Patricia Diorio's platitudes, all right? This is quantum physics. Our thoughts are creating our reality all the time. So pay attention to your thinking. It's really not rocket science, is it? It's a no-brainer. Positive thought, high frequency. Negative thought, low frequency. Positive thought moves you in positive direction. Negative thought takes you down into fear, where it was generated from in the first place. So,
right. And we really want to be positive, right? I think anyone that you talk to doesn't want to be down thinking the negatives and, not feeling good or whatever. We really want to have that positive. So it's just looking at life from a different perspective.
But people do it by default. You know why? Because we're programmed. We're programmed by those negative thoughts about ourselves, not being good enough, not being smart enough, not being this or that enough, not deserving, blah, blah, blah. We all get plugged into that. And if those subatomic programs are continuing to operate in our subconscious, they're going to be continually propelling these negative thoughts. What I'm talking about is become aware of who you are. Become aware that you're the creator of your reality, and that your thoughts, feelings, and words are impacting every single aspect of your life. I'll tell you what the biggest thing is, Candy. The biggest thing is becoming aware, becoming the watcher, become the observer of yourself. In psychology, and I have a background in psychology, it's the superconscious mind. It's that mind that's watching the ego, the id. It's that part of us that watches. You can use psychological terms. You can use the higher self, which is used a lot in the 12-step program. You can use anything that you want: soul, spirit, universe, Uncle Charlie. It doesn't make any difference. We are spirit in the body, spiritual beings having a human experience. And I was telling Candy in our prior conversation that this quote, "We're spiritual beings we're spiritual beings having a human experience," comes from a Jesuit priest, a Frenchman by the name of Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. And he wrote many, many books. And the Catholic Church, pretty much, they called it defrocking him, where none of his books were allowed to be published, or they were burned, essentially. And this was in the 1930s. But he remained a priest for the rest of his life. And he wrote many books about this idea of us being one with spirit, one with God. I'll use the God word. I think we're God in the body. I think we're God in form. I know it sounds blasphemous to me to say that, but I'm not just saying that I'm God. I'm saying that everybody is. Nobody cannot be what they are.
That's going to be a little bit different perspective for some. Right?
Yes, it is. And, I work with this wonderful book. I just want to plug the book. This is not my book. I didn't write this book. It's called I Am the Word, and it's by Paul Selig. And this harkens back to in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was made God. He was with God, referring to Jesus and John the Baptist. John the Apostle. This is a channeled text. I'm really going to stretch you now, and I know the eyeballs are probably going, "Whoa, this woman is so far out there." Hoo-hoo. This is a channeled text. This means that there are non-physical beings from this other realm beyond our dimension who are working with humanity now as we're in this amazing paradigm shift through COVID and the politics and the war in the Ukraine and everything that's happening now. We are in the mush of the chrysalis as caterpillars, and we're in the mush, we're in the breakdown. And on the other side of this is the monarch butterfly, and that's where humanity is heading. This book is written by guides, authors are guides, as in Jesus and Buddha and Kuan Yin and the saints, as in those that are on the other side, that are actually reaching back through people that are conscious channels. Paul Selig is a conscious channel. He hears everything and he writes it down. He's written now 10 books, and they're amazing. If you want to really rock your world, take a look at this. And they use the term Christed frequency, Christed frequency, Christed vibration. And what they say is humanity is now ascending to what the highest frequency is that we can hold while we're in the body. And that's the Christed frequency. Do you know that everything is energy? Everything is frequency. Everything is vibration. Frequency is the language of the universe, not English. Frequency, because everything is a frequency and everything is a vibration. So we're actually lifting, we're ascending while we're in the body. I know this sounds crazy. I was raised Catholic, and the soul ascended after you drop the body. But what these guides are telling us is that we are now all ascending, whether you're aware of it or not, that we're all vibrationally being lifted up so that we can make better choices. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to make better choices in your life? Do you want to have a happier life? Do you want to move past your struggle in business and make more money? Whatever it is that you want, you can have. You have to make the decision to do it and then be like a bird dog on your negative thinking. It's not going to happen overnight. These negative thoughts that are over and over and over again, they have a pattern, and they're in your subconscious, and they're rooted there. And you can take them, you can remove the roots. First of all, you have to become aware that you have them and make another choice in the moment. And like I said, fake it till you make it. If you're worried about, if you're having a difficult relationship going on in your life, in your marriage, and you get plugged into those negative thoughts about failure and possible divorce and all of that, change your mind. What do you want? Do you want the relationship to work? Imagine it working. See it in your mind's eye. Imagination allows us to be there before we get there. I don't know if I'm pushing the envelope too much with all of you, but if you'd like to know more, I'm happy to give you a free consultation. I'm also a professional intuitive, and I work with tarot cards, and here they are right here, cards. I work with cards. What are cards? They're pieces of paper with pictures on them. Pieces of paper with pictures on them, that's all they are. There's no power in cards, none. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm a fortune creator. I help you create your life. And how do we work with the cards? You have all the answers to your questions. The place in you that is spirit having the human experience is whoever you are, you have your answers. But the monkey mind doesn't let us get our answers because the monkey mind's always telling us that we have to do this, that, and the other thing. However, when you're working with me, you're working intuitively. You're tapping into the right brain. So what I do is I say to you, okay, what do you want? Okay, you want a better relationship? Okay, so who are you right now in that relationship? How do you show up? I want you to ask that question. So you go within and you just close your eyes and you ask that question of the place in you that has your answers. You don't even have to call it a place. You can just say, okay, who am I in this relationship with my wife? And then face down, all the cards are face down. You pick a card. And then I bring everything I have to bear to the table. I'm a professional therapist. I have my degree in counseling psychology, and I've been doing spiritual counseling for the past 26 years in Santa Barbara, California. I'm a professional speaker and a professional intuitive. So I have a lot of gifts I bring to the table, but the gifts I bring primarily when I'm doing a reading is everything I know about that card. everything I feel intuitively regarding the person, and everything that the professional counselor that Patricia is wants to bring to the table in a common sense way. So I bring all my tools to the fore. And I am going to go ahead and say, if anyone would like to have a complimentary session with me, that's my gift. And you can go to my website. May I
I
give
was
my
going to
website?
say, yeah, go ahead and give your
My
contact
website,
information.
you won't be surprised at the title of my website. My title of my website is alignwiththedivine.net, ALIGN. Did I get that right? Withthedivine.net. And you can schedule a complimentary reading through Calendly there. And I look forward to connecting with you. It would be fun. It'll be a stretch. If you're really looking to stretch, it would be a stretch. And it would be a stretch with nothing to lose. Nothing to lose and a lot to gain by really coming into presence with your true nature. Remember, you can't be a wave on the ocean and be separate from the ocean, can you?
Interesting. Well, thank you so much, Patricia. Like I said, I know we were paired up without having even met each other before this and figuring out like, how can we have this conversation when normally I'm talking just business type of things, but I think it's always interesting to have, and we don't always have to agree on everything, right? So whether, I don't believe every single thing you're talking about, and you might think that some of the stuff that I, believe is different, we can at least have that conversation and people have the chance to listen and make the decisions on their own of what they think is, good for them. Right. So I appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you very much. And let me just leave you with this. You are powerful beyond measure. And you can come into alignment with that by paying attention to what you're thinking and making sure your thoughts are vibrating high and moving you in the direction of what you want in your life, moving you in the direction of happiness.
Perfect.
So take your power, take your power.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a good interview, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Candy. I really appreciate this.
Today's episode has a second guest who was interviewed at the one-day event, and her topic aligned with the first guest. So I put their interviews together. Let me read the bio of my second guest for today's episode. Nancy O'Keefe is a certified quantum human design specialist and intuitive business coach who helps women entrepreneurs peel back the layers of who they have been taught to be and how they've been conditioned to do business so they can build a business that feeds their soul. Nancy is an author, a certified executive coach from the College of Executive Coaching, and holds an MBA from Babson College in entrepreneurship. Now to the interview with Nancy O'Keefe. So, Nancy, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Candy.
Well, obviously we just met, and so we're just going to have a quick conversation. But before I ask any questions, I would love for you just to tell our audience, just for like a minute or two, a little bit more of your background and how you ended up telling people about how to be, this business success using this human design concept.
Yes, well, I've been a business coach for 30 years, and I've used a lot of tools for the years. Myers-Briggs, the DISC instrument, all the usual ones. And I stumbled across human design about 6 years ago. And it's just such a wonderful personality tool, but it's more than that. It really helps you understand how you're wired to operate in the world. And we do everything with it in my coaching practice, from helping you structure a business that is less overwhelming and more driven toward how you like to work, down to helping you connect with the right clients for yourself. It's an amazing tool, and it really helps businesses and business owners kind of peel back the layers of, what they've been told they should do and get at the essence of who they are and what they really need to do that's them and represents their way of being successful.
Perfect. So can you just explain, this human design, if it's like a written test, they fill out questions, something online, like, there's some people maybe have heard about it, but aren't sure, like just a little bit of an overview of what that even is.
Sure. Human design is a combination of the chakra system, astrology, the Kabbalah, the I Ching, and quantum physics. And like astrology, all we need to know about you is your date of birth, your time of birth, and your place of birth. and we can pull your body graph, which has a lot of information on it about your energy type, how you make decisions, your right strategy for operations, your life purpose, the skills and talents you came into the world with to help support you in that life purpose. It's such a rich piece of information with so many aspects to it. It's hard to believe you can get all that just from your date of birth and time of birth. But that's how it's done. So there's no test to take. You do need to work with someone who's, a certified human design person so that they can understand your chart and really help you walk through it and understand it too. But yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
And so obviously my audience, they're entrepreneurs and they are obviously wanting to have successful businesses. So like, what are the things that you want to share that will help entrepreneurs really catapult their success?
Well, number one, I think we need to bust the myth that there's one way of doing business to be successful. Everybody's different. Human design teaches us that, and everybody has their own unique formula for success. And number two, it really helps you understand how to structure your business and get out from underneath the overwhelm that we all suffer from in the world of business, because we're told we have to do this, we have to do that. I mean, there just aren't enough hours in the day to do everything you're supposed to do to be successful. So it's very good for helping you structure the business and getting you out of overwhelm. When it comes to people, it helps you build better relationships. It helps you understand people. It helps you in a way that lets you use your energy to naturally attract who you're meant to serve and to build a business around your life purpose, what you came here to do. What you came here to do is more about how to be in the world than it is about what you do. It's not like, you come to me and I say, oh, well, you can't do that. Your energy type is such that you can't be a teacher or you can't be an entrepreneur. It's not about that. It's about tweaking your business to really take advantage of your skills and talents so you can live in the highest expression of your purpose. And you can do that in any number of industries. For example, my purpose is to live my life authentically and to share how to do that with others so that they're inspired to do the same thing. Well, isn't it interesting that I ended up in this, line of work with human design, because that's really what it's all about. And, having the freedom to be yourself is important. We work really hard as entrepreneurs to differentiate our businesses and to make ourselves different from all of the other people. And really all you have to do is be yourself, because you are unlike anyone else in the world.
That's so true. Well, and I think a lot of times when people are starting businesses, they're looking at other people who are maybe doing similar things and saying, I want to be like that person, and thinking like, why am I not being successful? They're being successful, And so like, what would you say to someone who, I don't know if maybe they're just starting a business, or maybe they've been struggling for a while and they're not reaching, kind of the goals and the things, the accomplishments they think they should, but they haven't hit them yet?
Usually it's this. In the world of sales and marketing, we're taught to initiate. Nike has a saying, just do it. Well, that's how we're taught to do sales and marketing. And here's a news flash. That only works for 9% of the population. The rest of us get crickets when we do that. So understanding your energy type and the strategy you are best used to make yourself feel seen and heard in the marketplace, and again, attract the people that you're meant to serve, is key. So if you're out there doing what typical sales training tells you to do, it may or may not work for you. So it's really about understanding what works for you and doing that. And then trusting. I mean, we know in our gut when something doesn't feel good. How many times have you heard people say, I don't like doing sales, it feels icky? Well, that's because they're probably one of the 91% of the people that initiating energy doesn't work for. So if you get in touch with yourself and do what feels right for you, trust yourself, that makes a big difference. And the other thing about being an entrepreneur, especially one that's just starting out, make sure you're doing something the world needs, not just something you're excited about. When you're enthralled with a tool and you're out there doing that, is it a problem people need to solve? Is it a problem they want to pay to solve? If you can't answer yes to those two questions, you could be as good as humanly possible in that area, but nobody's going to buy from you because what you do has to solve a problem or create
Right.
a needed desire for the people you serve. And a
Mhm.
lot of entrepreneurs miss that when they first go out of the gate. They get excited about what they learned or know, and they want to share it with the world. And you just have to make sure that it's what the world needs and wants before you go out there and do it.
Right. Well, as you were talking, I was thinking, as entrepreneurs, we all have to sell our product or service. But like you said, sometimes people feel like, oh, that's like icky, the salesman, and that. But I think that's because there's this concept of that pushy salesperson not really listening and just trying to sell whatever it is, make their commission, and if we are here to actually serve our clients, and if we find that they're not the best fit, being honest about that too, and just saying, I don't think I'm the right person, let me refer you to someone else who I think maybe can help you better. If you're doing it from a place of service, then I think it doesn't feel that way, right? It doesn't feel icky because you're not trying to push something on someone. So I think that's helpful for people to understand too, is you don't have to try to force a sale. You just want to make
No.
sure it's a good fit.
Yeah. And everybody's style is different. For
Uh-huh.
example, I'm a generator, what's known as a generator, and I can't initiate. I don't have that energy in my chart, but I have magnetizing energy. So if I'm out there doing work that I'm passionate about, I can't help but interest others in what I'm doing because of my passion. That's how I
Mhm.
draw people in just naturally without pushing. I don't have to push. Um, and if people would trust that, but when we go out and if we need money, as most of us do as budding entrepreneurs, the fear is I'm going to go out there, and if I don't market to everybody, I'm not going to get anybody. When in
Mhm.
fact, if you just get out there and do your thing according to your energy and your chart, the right people will show up and you'll be able to serve them as you are intended to.
Mhm. So if someone is listening to this and they're like, well, I'm not quite sure, about what you're talking about. It seems like a little bit like woo woo, right? Like, what would you say to someone about why you feel that this is something to consider, to help them?
It does seem woo woo. And I've had people say to me, oh my God, how can you get all that just from my date of birth? And, is this astrology and blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you, I've been a business coach for over 30 years, and I am so excited about this. It's only been around since 1987, and it is so spot on. I've done hundreds of readings over the last 5 years, and I have never had anybody who wasn't really, really excited about it. It really can change your life because it can give you the freedom to be yourself.
Mhm.
And, it's exhausting to be something you're not. So, from that perspective alone, it's entirely legit and valuable. And if I will say this: if I give you a reading and you don't resonate with it, then I would give you your money back. I'm that confident in the information that's going to come through on anybody's chart because it's just grounded in some science too.
Mhm. Well, and I think that's what it comes down to, is like, if this is something that you feel drawn to, then it's something that you could pursue. If it's something that you don't think is for you, right, then you don't have to go that direction,
Exactly.
right? Mhm. So if someone is thinking like, okay, I know that I should be doing, something different. I'm struggling right now, and, I'm trying to make things work. And, again, maybe it's somebody who's an introvert who's trying to be out there, talking to the world, right? And that's not what they feel comfortable with. So it's really difficult to get out, or maybe there's other examples that you want to share, but what is it that they can do to change kind of what their current status is, and to make that change and impact, the success of their company?
It all starts with understanding yourself. It all starts with peeling back the conditioning that you've received all of your life from parents and teachers and society. I mean, it's worse for women. We're even told what to wear. Every
Mm-hmm.
season, the new fashions come out. And, who thought it was going to be comfortable to put your foot in a 4-inch pointy toed high heel? But we do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're so conditioned to be a certain way. The first step is the awareness that you don't have to do that. And getting a reading gives you the ability to see yourself there are no really aha surprises in a reading. Most of the time, people will say to me, yeah, wow, that sounds just like me. I knew that about myself, but we tuck these things away, things that aren't valued in the workplace or things that we don't think are good characteristics for entrepreneurs. We're going to hide them away and not share them with the world when,
Mm-hmm.
that's just the complete wrong strategy. So getting
Mm-hmm.
that awareness of yourself and then understanding how to position that in a business so that you are making the most of the potential that you have as a person.
Right. While you're talking about that, it made me think of an example. When I was younger, I was probably my early 20s. I was working retail and somebody came up to me, and it turned out she sold like a makeup type product, but she had come up to me and said, basically, like, you're never going to be successful if you don't wear makeup. Right. And I was like, I'm all natural. Like, I literally have nothing on right now. I'm not that kind of person that does all the fancy like hairstyle and makeup and all that stuff. That's just not me, and if I need to go to something nice, that's a whole nother thing. Or if I have to do headshots, it's a whole nother thing, but that's just not me. And if
Right.
I would have taken that piece of information from her and been like, oh, like I have to do this, that just wouldn't have been me, and it wouldn't have been authentic, and I would have
Right.
not felt comfortable. Right. So I think that's what we have to do, is like, someone may give us a piece of advice and maybe it's for us and maybe it's not. Right. So we just
Right.
have to figure out what we're comfortable with and then apply that in our business, right? So that we can do what we're good at and what we enjoy doing. And that's going to make a big impact on our business.
Well, and you said the key word authentic,
Mm-hmm.
because people feel your energy about 10 feet from you. So your energy walks into a room before you do. And if what you say and the actions you take don't match the energy they feel from you, there's an instant mistrust there. And,
Mm-hmm.
we all know that people do business with people they know, like, and trust. Well,
Right.
they're not going to like you right away. They're not going to trust you right away. They may not even bother to take the time to get to know you. So when you're not authentic, it impacts your ability to meet people and establish the beginnings of a good relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the ways that we use human design to improve your know, like, and trust factor. It's heavy in that, it's heavy in sales and marketing, it's heavy in operations and management, because getting that right structure for you and the way you work is so key to being successful.
Mm-hmm. So are there any final tips that maybe you want to share with the listeners that will help them, be either jumpstart a business they're currently, just launching, or maybe they've been in business for a while, but they're not really seeing the success that they were hoping for?
Well, if you're just launching, I would say, the idea that you examine what you're doing and make sure there's a need for it in the marketplace and that people are willing to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, to attract the right people, make sure you're passionate about what you're doing. I hear too often, well, I can do this or I can do that. We can all do a lot of things, but pick the right thing. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been in business for a while and you're having lackluster results with sales, then I would say you're probably trying to initiate and you don't have that kind of energy in your chart. So find out the right way for you to approach new clients and do sales. And I think you'll find it a lot easier to bring people to you that you're meant to serve.
Perfect. And I know we are getting close to the end of the time that we have together today. So I'd love to ask if you have an offer that you would like to share. And also, how can our listeners connect with you if they want to find out more?
Well, best thing to do is go out to my website, which is Nancy O'Keefe, Okeefe, coaching.com. And I have a couple of free ebooks out there that will explain a little bit more about human design in general and also how you can benefit from using it in your business. So you're welcome to download those free ebooks and get a little more information about that.
Perfect. And anywhere like social media that you want to share, like how people can find you?
I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, yeah, but the best place to go is to my website. There's a lot of good free information out there, a lot of articles and so on.
Mhm.
So you can really get a little bit of a education out there about human design.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Nancy, for being a guest with me today and sharing on this topic and, helping the entrepreneurs understand even, what this is, how it can impact their businesses. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, listeners, for tuning in today. I hope you found this discussion interesting and enjoyed this topic, Be Your Authentic You, and Business Success with Human Design. Would you please share my show with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? I'd really appreciate your support. If you have any additional questions or comments, be sure to reach out to Patricia and Nancy or send me a message at media@abandp.com. I hope you can join me for my next interview. And remember, you can connect with me on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And my website is abandp.com. This episode is sponsored by Affordable Bookkeeping and Payroll Services. If you are overwhelmed trying to handle the financial aspects of your business, AB&P is here to help. Contact us today to discuss your business needs at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.